Привет всем, с вами я, Janey, и это How Janey Learned Russian. We are back continuing with prepositional case. Today we are going to be talking about these kind of weird endings that you're going to see come up in prepositional case every once in a while, and it's only in masculines, and that is these "u" endings, right? So this is actually left over from another case called the locative case that eventually got kind of reduced down into and it just got incorporated into prepositional case, but there's still some of these words left over that have this weird "u" ending. So for example, "varaportu," right? And you're just like, wait, why? Wow, "gadu," etc. So those are just leftover exceptions, and we're going to be talking about them today and then practicing them in context. We are also going to be going over this really fabulous Kazakh song, not from Kazakhstan. So the Cossacks is what they're called, and I'll help you make the distinction. Some of the best Russian folk songs are actually from the Cossacks, so we're actually going to be talking about them today. So we'll be analyzing one of our songs, and then we'll be practicing some of these weird "u" endings. So stay tuned. So let's practice what we've talked about so far. And so we're keeping in mind all the endings, the masculine and neuter endings, the feminine endings, the prepositional endings, and then everything we talked about yesterday about v versus na and o versus ob. Are we ready? Here we go. In a big house. Как сказать по-русски? In a big house. Okay, по-русски будет в большом доме. В большом доме. How about this one? About big houses. About big houses. По-русски будет о больших домах. Notice that stress. Домах. О больших домах. Okay? In my life. Oh, this one's tricky because жизнь has a мягкий знак on the end. So you really need to know what gender жизнь is. Because that's going to affect things, isn't it? So I'll give you a hint. This phrase would be моя жизнь. Okay, that doesn't sound very masculine. So it would be в моей жизни. В моей жизни. Okay, about American history. About American history. Об американской истории. Об американской истории. We're doing ob because американской starts with a vowel. Okay? Next week, okay, in English, we don't even see that this is a preposition, but in Russian, you need to use prepositional case and a preposition. So do you guys remember what were our time words that got v, and what were our time words that got na? See if you remember. Okay, I'm about to tell you. На следующей неделе. На следующей неделе. На следующей неделе. Вот, очень хорошо. Okay, next one. At a concert. At a concert. So the word for concert in Russian is konцерт. But then do you remember that a concert is an event? It's not, even if it happens inside a building, it's still a special event. So, in which case we would say на концерте. На концерте. Вот. Okay, and then this one phrase that makes zero sense whatsoever, and you just memorize it. What languages do you speak? Remember, on which languages speakest thou? Okay, so we'd say на каких языках вы говорите? Okay, вот. Отлично, супер, пупер. Окей, вот. Интересный кусочек информации дня. Это казаки. Okay, so the Cossacks. Okay, not to be confused with Kazakhstan, like Kazakh, like, you know, Borat and stuff like this. This is an ethnic group that were in both Russia and Ukraine. So as you can see here in the map, they're here in, you know, this part of Russia, kind of southern Russia, especially along the Don River. And then they're over here by the Dnieper, especially a big city was Zaporizhia in Ukraine. That was like kind of a headquarters for the Cossacks. So the Cossacks are extremely important in both Ukrainian culture and Russian culture. And like I said, it's kind of an ethnic group. And historically, they were really respected as like really good warriors. And so a lot of the songs, some of today's songs that are like Russian folk songs, you'll notice so many of them are about horses and war and whatever. And it's because the various governments, so depending on who was their overlord, would kind of battle to have them be their soldiers because they were really excellent soldiers. And so this song we're talking about, sure enough, today is about war. Когда мы были на войне. Another one is Дальний вечер. Like, yeah, that's a really good one. And that's like конь мой вороной. Like you'll hear kind of a lot of stuff about their horses because they were excellent cavalrymen. Anyway, so they're very important in Russian history and especially in Ukrainian history as well, because they did a lot for Ukraine to become independent from the Russian Empire. So anyway, I highly recommend it. As you can see here, like, so the Kuban area, not like Cuba, they have their own Cossacks. And then we have right here, we have the Terskaya Kazachye Vaisko. Like, again, it's a whole culture that was located in these very fertile lands of Russia, the Dnieper, the Don, etc. So today's information is all based, as you all know, on my textbook that's available for purchase over on Patreon. You can buy a hard copy, which I'll send you in the mail, or you can buy an ebook and you have it straight away and you can start working. Also, just a reminder that I do offer group classes and they are going great. It is super fun. Also, you pay a membership fee and you can attend as many classes as you want. And then if you couldn't attend, there's a recording of the class you can watch afterward, plus a group chat of like what we're talking about, etc. So go over to Patreon. The link is in the description. Хорошо, давайте сейчас поработаем в нашем учебнике. Вот. Так. Okay, страница номер 31. So there's really not a whole lot in the way of exercises, but as we go through these phrases, you yourself try and think of a way, how would I use that in context, right? So something really interesting I want to point out about these u endings is they are only for the v or the na. You will lose the u ending the second you say about. Isn't that interesting? That blew my mind when I realized that. So for example, you could say about the snow is a снеге. But in the snow is в снегу. Okay? Another geographical location is Crimea, Krym in Russian. And then for some reason, it just gets this u ending, в Крыму. Now, granted, if we're talking about Crimea, which, yeah, we were for many years, weren't we? That was all the rage in international politics. So, Крымье. Right? So isn't that interesting that it's prepositional case divided into two. And that's what I'm saying. It's the locative case. Where is it located versus about? So we only get these irregular u endings in the when we're saying v or na. Okay. Then one more weird thing I want to bring to your attention is to say at home. It does not have a preposition at all, and it doesn't even use prepositional case. You just say дома. Я работаю дома. Я сижу дома. Я дома. That's how you say at house. Now, if you want to talk about like rooms that you have in your house, then sure, в доме. Хорошо. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to start reading off some of these words that get the irregular u ending when we're saying in or on. Okay? So, например, год. So to say in the year, в году. So this is especially common in when we ask, what year were you born in? In which year were you born? В каком году? And then if any of you know the Russian birthday song, it's very tricky. He's like, к сожалению, день рождения только раз в году. Like, leave it to the Russians to make it kind of disappointing, a birthday song. So he says, unfortunately, your birthday is only once a year. Yeah. Anyway, okay, в аэропорту, we talked about that one. Okay, next, лес, we're going to say в лесу, О, я люблю гулять в лесу. Это точно. Я люблю гулять в лесу. Сад, orchard or a garden? How would you say in the garden? So sad is one of our irregular u endings. So how would we say it? В саду, в саду. And notice I'm pronouncing that v as an f because s is voiceless. Okay, so your vocal cords do not vibrate when you say s. Say s. No vibration happening in your throat versus z. Oh, I feel vibration. That's how we know. When two consonants go a walking, the first or the second one does the talking in Russian. So because the s is devoiced, the v has to get in line and also get devoiced. So we say в саду. Okay. So we're going to take the word for bridge. Most. Most. And we want to say on the bridge. This is an irregular. How do we say it? На мосту. На мосту. And notice the u endings are always stressed in Russian. They're always stressed, and they were always masculine to begin with in nominative case. There is not a scenario in which a feminine gets an u ending in prepositional case. That doesn't exist, okay? Next one, берег, like the coast of something, the shore or the coast. We want to say on the coast. На берегу, на берегу. Okay, next one, рай. Рай meaning paradise. So sometimes when you're like super happy in Russian, you'll say, I'm in paradise. So in English, we'd say this like, I'm in heaven right now, right? In Russian, you say, I'm in paradise. So try and tell me that. Try and tell me like, oh, это так вкусно. О, такие вкусные пирожки. I'm in heaven. Or I'm in paradise. Я в раю. Я в раю. Я в раю. I am in paradise. I'm in heaven right now. Okay? Вид. So vid meaning sight. You want to say insight. Insight. Na vidu. Na vidu. So that's one where you would know, like we say na instead of v. And you just memorize those as you go in Russian, by the way. Okay, next one. Jar meaning heat. In the heat. Like I can't exercise in the heat, right? Maybe you get lightheaded. То есть в жару. В жару. Я не люблю гулять в жару. I can't do that in the heat, okay? Next one. This one's fun because Russian learners always make the mistake of when they ask for вода, they could say «Дайте мне, пожалуйста, воду», right? Which is, in Russians, will giggle because ad means hell, and then воду means in hell. So make sure you use the correct word stress. Воду, пожалуйста. Дайте, дайте, пожалуйста, воду. Not дайте, give me in hell, right? Okay, so воду means give me some water, and воду means in hell. Вот. Next one, шкаф, meaning the wardrobe or the shelf or something like that. Yeah, so we go шкаф, and you want to say in it, в шкафу. You could also say on top of it, right? If you put something up on top of your wardrobe, на шкафу. There you go. Вот. Pole, this one's super interesting. Again, if you've ever lived in Russia, it is очень некрасиво сидеть на полу. На полу. Да, это очень некрасиво. Люди не сидят на полу. People do not sit on the floor in Russian culture. А вот арабы, например, они даже ужинают на полу. Они спят на полу, они ужинают на полу. Да, это шок для русских, right? So, на полу. Pol meaning floor, and on the floor means, we say на полу. Okay, угол. Угол, the corner. So, this o is a fleeting vowel. It's going to disappear. It's going to go to в углу or на углу. For in the corner or on the corner, depending on what you're trying to say. Next one, лед. For any of you who have lived in Russia in the wintertime, you will 100% падать на льду. You will have at least one moment where you fall на льду. На льду. You will fall на льду. It's just a fact of life. Just accept it now. You will fall on the ice at some point. Okay, next one, нос. Нос, your nose. So you can say that something is literally on your nose. We have spotted lanternflies out here right now, and they like literally have been on my nose before. So на носу, but it also means if you come down here, it also means fast approaching. So лето уже на носу. You can't see it very well in the video, but it means like, oh, it's coming soon kind of thing. So here in the United States, they're already putting out Christmas stuff because we're crazy. And so, Рождество уже на носу. Christmas is already upon us, kind of thing. In your mouth. Okay, look at this one then. They have added a vo. It violates the rules that I told you about, and that's because it's left over from Old Russian. This used to be a yar, and now it has turned into an o. So, vartu, vartu. So that's how you say in the mouth. You also have glazu. There's a lot of these. And like I said, you'll just learn them as you go. So don't stress too much if that was like really overwhelming for you. You'll figure it out as you go. Anyway, so real quick, what I wanted to do is now we're going to go through and, look at the songs. Keep my notebook open. Let's look at our songs. And this song has tons of prepositional case. Когда мы были на войне, когда мы были на войне, там каждый думал о своей любимой. Okay, good. Okay, here we go. So we're looking for prepositional case in this song, and I'm just going to tell you now, there's a ton of it. Get ready. So, когда мы были на войне. Notice, we're getting на войне and not в войне. Why do you think that is? It's an event. It is an event. Right? Там каждый, every man, думал о своей любимой или о жене. Right? This is so fun, right? Seeing all of this come to life. Там каждый думал о своей любимой или о жене. So every man there thought about his own beloved or his wife. Okay? We're going to skip this one because that's accusative case in there. Or no, that's accusative case in there. We've got dative. Okay, look at this awesome phrase down here. Но я не думал ни о чем. This is how you negate things in Russian. You got to put the ni, then plus the preposition that comes next, and then plus the word что into whatever case you're needed, right? So ни о чем. So notice the word что gets cases as well. То есть я не думал ни о чем. Я не знаю ни о чем. Да? Вот. То есть я не думал ни о чем. Я только трубочку курил. I just smoked my pipe. Yeah? Then we don't have any prepositional case in this next one. There we go again. На войне. На войне. It is an event. It's a one-time event. So I really love this one because we have some o. And by the way, I love these old Cossack songs because they're very, very repetitive. They repeat the same things again and again. Now, some of the language in it is no longer used in everyday speech, but either way, these songs are so fabulous. People know them, people still sing them, and they're really repetitive and they get stuck in your head. And we want things to get stuck in our head. So, вот. Okay, хорошо. So now we're going to practice everything that we have been learning so far. Are you ready? Вот. Here we go. I'm going to ask you a question, and you're going to answer it out loud. Now, be paying attention to how I ask these questions, because guess what? The roles are going to reverse here pretty quick, and you're going to have to try and remember how to ask these questions. Okay, so your goal is twofold. Not only are you understanding what I'm asking and then answering it, you're also paying attention to how I ask the question, so then you can later ask me or somebody else. Okay. Хорошо. So for this first time around, you're going to just answer for yourself out loud. Act like a crazy person, please. Be talking to yourself out loud. Okay. Вопрос. В каком городе вы живете? Еще раз. В каком городе вы живете? Now, more authentically, that I would say в каком. В каком городе вы живете? В каком городе? В каком городе вы живете? Okay. Next one. На каких языках вы говорите? На каких языках вы говорите? So I want to hear your answer. I'll answer it for me here in just a second. Я говорю по-английски, по-русски, по-украински, немного по-португальски, немного по-испански и все. Okay, next question. Вы сейчас дома? Вы сейчас дома? Wait, where's the prepositional case in there? Okay, I'll answer for myself. Да, я дома. Вот. Okay, next question. В каком году, more authentically, в каком году вы родились? В каком году вы родились? В каком году вы родились? Я родилась в 1983 году. Окей? И последний вопрос. О чем вы ничего не знаете? О чем вы ничего не знаете? Я уже говорила, я ничего не знаю о математике, о физике, о химии. Да, вот, я ничего не знаю об этом. Okay, get ready. Now you are going to be asking the questions. Как сказать по-русски? Are you home right now? Вы сейчас дома? Ты сейчас дома? Вот, remember, дома is just one of those things. It's not getting any case. It's just like this weird thing. That's just the way you say it. Okay? What languages do you speak? On which languages do you speak? На каких языках вы говорите? Okay, look at this one. In improper English, we'd say, what city do you live in? What city do you live in, right? Or if we want to be proper, we say, in which city do you live? Which sounds silly. But we'd say, по-русски, в каком городе ты живешь? Or в каком городе вы живете? About what do you know nothing? That sounds so silly. We would, in actual English, we'd say, what do you know nothing about? But in Russian, we need to phrase it in fancy English to help it make more sense in Russian. So, о чем вы ничего не знаете? О чем ты ничего не знаешь? And then lastly, in which year were you born? What year were you born in? В каком году вы родились? Или, if you're just talking to a masculine, в каком году ты родился? You're talking to an informal feminine. В каком году ты родилась? И все. Да, вот так. Вот так. Это все на сегодня. Увидимся на следующем уроке. We're coming to the end of prepositional case. So don't you worry. We will still have some more review of all of these concepts. Это все. Пока-пока.